Well, good evening, everyone. We made it to the event. Not exactly when I planned to, but you know what? While I continue this cold walk, you guys are going to get an overview of the actual drive up here. I will see you inside. Here we are. We made it to the Boston edition of the launch tour for Ducati's 2019 model year, better known as Ready for Red. Big thanks to the Lars Anderson Museum for hosting this gathering. As I walked around, I found they had all the new bikes on display throughout the venue. Everything was there, from the cruiser-style Diavel 1260S to the pinnacle of Ducati performance engineering, the V4R. Across the screen has been the Diavel, the Multistrada 1260 Enduro and its little brother, the 950, the Hypermotard 950 SP, as well as 3 new Scrambler models. While none of these are truly my style of machine, their place in Ducati's lineage is undeniable. What surprised me most was just how much the black and yellow livery of the Scrambler Full Throttle and the silver with blue livery of the Cafe Racer grew on me. More in-depth view of these bikes and others to come later, so stay tuned. But for now, what we really came here for, the V4R, as presented by Ducati North America CEO Jason Chinock.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing tonight? Come on, Boston. Give me a little love. Here we go. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight for our Ready for Red event. And as you can imagine, the idea is for us to get excited about the season. I hear that in the New England area that the season starts February 1st, so we're ready to start riding motorcycles now, right? Get some studs on those tires, throw some salt down in the corners, and we're good. So I spent a lot of time in Colorado. I know what it's like when this winter comes. You get that cabin fever. You get a little bit bummed out that you can't ride. But hey, you got some sun today. It was beautiful. So I'll take that. Take that for right now. But the first thing I want to do is I want to thank all of you guys for coming out tonight, braving the cold. I know there's a big football game tomorrow, or this Sunday that's happening. So obviously you guys grew the short. Whoa. you drew the short straw and you're still here. Either that or you got the early morning flight out. But then also all of the dealers around the New England area as well. I want to thank you guys for coming out. We've got Ducati 128, Valley came out, Dunbar, Seacoast, people from Ducati Vermont came down, and then Riverside here in the greater Boston area as well. So thank all of you guys for coming out as well and helping to support this. In fact, it's incredible the turnout that we have here for tonight. But before we get into the detail of what's happening, just so you guys know, my name's Jason Chinnick. I'm the CEO of Ducati North America, longtime motorcycle enthusiast. In fact, I got my start in the motorcycle business selling parts, 44440034A. That's the oil filter of most Ducatis right there. So just so you know, that's been burned into my mind for generations now to come. And we came up with this idea for a few reasons. Number one is that the motorcycle shows have kind of come and gone all across the country, and sadly Boston's one of those places where the motorcycle shows just don't happen anymore. So instead of you guys being bummed out and not getting a chance to check out the new bikes, we said we're going to bring it to you. You guys like that? Yeah. Okay. Plus a couple drinks and some food doesn't hurt either. But you also get the chance, and this is motorcycling, it's not just about the bikes, but it's about people. And we're a brand, and a brand is nothing with just product if you don't have the people getting together. So the fact that you get to all talk about the bench racing and tell lies about how fast you went into that corner, I see him smiling right here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the point is that this is a chance for us to get together and to get excited about the season coming up. And that's why we're here. The bikes are a reason for us to do that. And this brand is a brand that brings people together. And that's one thing that we're really fortunate to be able to have. We are. Gentlemen, the new Patagonia V4. Lights, please. Now look at this beautiful, beautiful motorcycle. I mean, I'll stand back so I don't want to block your shot. But as you can just tell, this is the epitome of Italian design. In fact, you just take a moment to soak it all in, and all of the design and technological features that are on this motorcycle. I mean, everything that we've done here has been designed for a purpose and a reason behind it. And there's some very radical things in terms of design that seem to be a bit non-traditional from what you would expect from motorcycling. You can see from some of the very first sketches the redesign of the upper front fairing and the side fairings as well, and how this sketch from the original designers came into shape and came into form of the actual final bike itself that you see in front of you. And one of the most distinguishing characteristics that you see just immediately on the motorcycle are these winglets that stand off the side of the bike. And actually, what these winglets have done is it's given us an opportunity to be able to solve a problem on a motorcycle that delivers an incredible amount of horsepower that I'll touch on in just a second. But under hard acceleration and hard deceleration, it's quite common that the front wheel of the motorcycle lifts off the ground. Under hard acceleration and hard deceleration, there's a risk of the front end not being stabilized. So there's electronic aids these days with wheelie control and those sorts of things, but they actually cut into the power of the motorcycle. So our engineers actually went to a very traditional form of resolving this solution by aerodynamics. It sounds quite strange, but instead of more electronics being thrown at it, they went to a very traditional idea of adding these winglets on the front and reshaping the entire front fairing. And what those little winglets do is they actually put 60 pounds of foot-pounds of pressure on the front end at 167 miles an hour. So first off, it's just cool enough that they designed something to work at 167 miles an hour. But what this does, it prevents the traction control or the wheelie control from having to kick in, and it stabilizes the front end. And it's incredible when the riders are out there, they're saying how the front end is so solid and planted. From anybody that's spent any time on the track, having confidence in the front end, it's a big deal because it makes you feel strong through the corners and you know where you're going. And actually, these winglets were directly designed. In fact, they're a closer replica to what we ran in MotoGP a couple years ago in 2017. In fact, if you recall, for those of you that are MotoGP fans, we ended up having the winglets banned. MotoGP ended up pulling it out. We ended up having to do something different. But this is what we will be running stock in Superbike as well. Now, these winglets have actually been designed in conjunction with the front fairing, which, as you can tell, it's a little bit wider, a little bit steeper in the angle. And the idea is that all of this works well together. And in fact, the side fairings, you'll see those little kind of shark fin grills on the side. They actually help pull a lot of the heat that comes out of the radiator out smoother. But another neat little feature here is if you look at the side of the gas tank here on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side, this is so when the rider's tucked in, they actually get to tuck their arm into the tank to help minimize drag when they're under hard acceleration on the bike. So a couple other features, the frame has been changed as well from the predecessor. This is a magnesium front frame, but you see these little holes that are in the front of the frame here. These have actually been taken out to allow some flex in the frame, which is one of the things that when they were doing the development for the bike, for World Superbike, it was determined that they needed, so they had a little bit more comfort and room to be able to have the bike have some flex on it. And then the heart, which is the V4, which is this engine that we brought out in the new Panigale V4 and V4S last year. An incredible engine that has technology that derived directly from what we learned in MotoGP. But we found a way to be able to reduce the displacement, but to increase the horsepower. As you see here, 234 horsepower with a full race exhaust system. And quite candidly, if you're going to own this bike, you're going to put the race exhaust system on it. So we don't even bother with the stock. We put a lot of additional lightweight components in it, like titanium connecting rods, intake valves, aluminum pistons, and a forged crankshaft as well. And it delivers the power much differently than the V4 and the V4S. While those are motorcycles that can be ridden comfortably in the street, this has really been designed to get the maximum benefit out of it on the track. And then one feature that you guys could probably see here that I'm sure Ducatisti across the world have united for, and this is a dry clutch. And so, you know, there's a few years we've actually gotten away from the dry clutch for good reason. And on specific motorcycles that were really designed and intended for use on the street, we found that the wet clutch actually had served a better purpose. But when we're looking for a bike that's been built for race specifications, there are some advantages to the dry clutch. There are some advantages to the dry clutch as well. One of them is the ability to tune it. There's different springs that you can put in it, so you can actually change the way that the clutch performs, but also you don't have to worry about the friction plates contaminating the oil, and so you get better life out of the oil as well. And the last important feature is that it actually doesn't have a heat transfer from the clutch friction plates into the transmission, into the oil bath itself. And I'm sure, as any Ducatista that is living and breathing today, you guys probably want to hear this thing, right?
Oh yeah!
I just happen to have the key. It's funny how sweet a sound that is, isn't it?
I missed that one.
Ah, yeah, you and I met both, my friend. So, we were able to bring that back in this application. In fact, it's interesting, when we first announced the V4R, we actually didn't announce that we were going to have a dry clutch in the bike. I don't know if you guys caught that. It was announced about a month later. It's because when we do something that's for race specifications, that's one thing, but when we know something that actually is going to be homologated, that could be put on the street, it's got to pass the test that we need, and it did. And so you've got something that's actually going to be used in this, that can be used in the street, even though you'll get the best out of it on the track here in this bike tonight. And I can go on and on about all of the technology of this motorcycle, including the electronics, the adjustable swing arm pivot. There's so much technology in this motorcycle that honestly we could spend 15, 20 minutes more even talking about it. But I'd rather have you enjoy the company of everybody that's here tonight, and feel free to come up and take a look at the bike yourself. This is the only one that we have in the country, the only one. We haven't started our production for North America yet, and I'm actually excited to see that we've got a gentleman that's actually going to be racing it as a privateer in Moto America this year. So he took it upon himself, and we helped get a couple of his bikes shipped, the first two that are going to be production units for North America, shipped over as soon as possible to help him get out there on the track. And we'll see what this guy can do, and we're excited to be able to see Kyle out there. But Before I leave you, just to give you some perspective about the performance of this bike, actually one of our test riders, for those of you that follow Ducati closely, there's a gentleman named Alessandro Paglia, and he's been a long-time test rider, development rider for Ducati, and there's some really cool content that he shared with us of when they took this bike out, and they had him and Chaz Davies, who's running on our World Superbike team, and Chaz did pretty good last year, and he's looks like he's shaping up nice this year, getting comfortable with the motorcycle. But with a bone stock Panigale V4R with street tires, and Chaz out there with the Corsa built-up version of this motorcycle, they went out to the track, and Alessandro, who's a good rider, but you know, I mean, you got Chaz who's running World Superbike. He was on his tail the whole way there. That shows how close this is to a factory production race bike as you can possibly get. And I've got a little video here that actually shares what his perspective was riding on Chaz's tail for the rest of the I want to thank you guys for everything tonight. Let's look forward to a great 2019. And take care of your dealers because they'll take care of you. Thank you guys so much. Cheers.
Wow. Oh, what a beautiful sound. And of course, what a beautiful machine. Go ahead, call me a purist, but when I think of a Ducati Superbike, it has to have that rattle of a dry clutch. Yeah, and I know, a lot of people have been critical of the winglets, wondering, why did they put them on there? Do they really even need to be on a street bike? But you know what? I like them. It must be my aviation background. Either way, I'd love to take a flying lap on this beast. Who am I kidding? I wouldn't want to give the thing back. Are you nuts? They let me on one of those? I'm gone. And again, for those who didn't know already, it was the combination of elegant lines and thoroughbred performance that was the 916, which made me a Ducatista at an early age. Sure, they were and still are expensive machines in certain ways, but save for one vintage, looking at you, 999. They've been rightfully called sex on two wheels. Have they been the most powerful motorcycles in their class? No, not until now, that is. They haven't always had the highest top speed either. But the purpose has been racing, and races are won and lost in the turns. Doesn't matter how fast you can get down the straight if you can't get around the curve at the end. Looking at you, Busa boys. I guess that's part of what got me hooked on these Italian stallions. Stunning looks paired with performance that called for rule changes at the highest level of racing. And yet, Fogarty, Bayliss, Hodgson, Toseland, Checa, they all won titles for Ducati. Now with this beauty of a track weapon at their disposal, I'm excited to see what Chaz Davies and Alvaro Bautista can do. Well, I'd like to thank all the patrons of this channel and AT2 Productions. This channel wouldn't have the potential it does without you guys. Seriously, love you all. Do you want to join the community? Links to the Patreon and Discord and much more are in the description below. And keep an eye out. Much more is to come, and I'll see you out on the road.